Hey everyone, how you all doing? Welcome to the 23rd episode of the podcast Africa the Next Big Thing. We are just about to finish our season 1. But don't forget season 2 is going to come. Season 1 you have seen lot of successful entrepreneurs coming. Season 2 is going to be full of investors. The investors who have already invested in Africa, they are going to come in season 2, but I will not really reveal the date till now because I have even not decided. So you guys know the mission of this podcast channel is to help African entrepreneurs become influent leaders by promoting out your brand culture, sharing your success stories, so that your youth will always keep inspired. As you guys know that agriculture is at the heart of our world's economy right now, and farming is the backbone of any country. So the guest that we are having today is somebody. His name is Mr. Segun Adegoke. He is a certified engineer. He's an entrepreneur and social impact enthusiast. He is the CEO of the company Bay Agro, which is an agribusiness firm. He has also done courses from Harvard University. He's a specialized person. He's also postgraduated in business administration from the Unilag, University of Lagos, which has a great name. And he has an experience with international work culture, startups, business, and lot of more. So he has lot of experience. So let's bring him out. He's going to be live with us, and let's know his success story. And here he comes. Mr. Segun is here. Hey, Mr. Segun, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing very fine. Thank you, Mr. Soin. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, afternoon. How is Nigeria?
Yeah, quite good. Great country. Uh,
Yeah.
very, mid temperature today. So we're doing very fine in Nigeria today.
Oh, great, great. And it's a privilege to have you on my podcast. So, Mr. Segun, just before continuing our topic, it's only be about sustainable farming. Like, I don't know much about farming, let me be honest. So, you have to just tell me and my all viewers more about that. But before just moving to that, I just want to know a little bit your introduction. Like, how did you get started? What was your backstory? What was your childhood? What was your education? Over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Soin, and thanks for having me this afternoon.
Yeah.
Like I said, my name is Segun Adegoke, and I'm the CEO founder of Bay Agro Nigeria Limited.
Yes.
Um, Bay Agro is an agri-tech firm that is, we prioritize aggregation and primary production of cashew. That's our core. And also, we actually specialized in the empowerment of smallholder farmers that into cashew value chain. And so that's basically what we actually do at Bay Agro. We bridge the gap between the rural communities, the rural production of this cashew, and also the urban processing by agro processors. And
Great.
our story is uh, quite simple one. I am actually a certified civil engineer. However, I've always been passionate about agriculture because I grew up with my grandma in the village where agriculture is predominant in Africa. So
Yes.
uh, going to the farm as a young boy, it's always been a sweet thing for me. And also, I've had my first farm since I was about 11 years of age, and
Yeah.
it's quite very honorary back in the days when we were young and we had our farms and we could make some money from it. So going to university, I attended Federal University of Technology, Akure, for my first degree. And every student that have gone to Federal University of Technology, Akure, must actually do a course they call CSP, Crop
Okay.
Production Science. So that means in
Wow.
this crop production science, what every student that have gone through this school must do is to farm. So it was
Yo,
really
amazing.
easy piece for me, because this is what I do. And even on during my, a break, I go back home to do the same. So living in school, I started practicing as an engineer. However, I didn't lose focus being an entrepreneur. I mean, being a farm enthusiast. So we started Bay Agro alongside, and it's been an interesting journey so far.
Amazing, amazing, amazing story. So, Mr. Segun, I just want to ask you here one thing. Like, what were the challenges? Let's say, for example, in any family, I would even say in India, I know in Africa also, parents always wanted to go to university, get a good job, secure your life. So, what was the tipping point where you decided? Maybe I don't know whether your parents have forced you to do that. Uh, but if yes, then what was the tipping point where you decided, no, I want to become an entrepreneur? What was that?
Well, when I was done with my National Youth Service Corps in Nigeria, which is very mandatory for everybody that has gone to university. Well, prior to that, I've always known I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I've always wanted to be one. I've always loved to be in charge of, at the forefront of development and social impact, and
Yeah,
so I've always loved to be. When I was in school, I did a lot of social engagement as well in school. However, when I was done with my National Youth Service Corps, I joined a company where we worked for MultiChoice Nigeria. We were, doing the vast majority of construction works for them. But when I was going to do my masters, that was when everything changed, because at the time my employer wasn't ready to take me in as a staff as well as still go to school at the same time. So I had to
right.
decide if I'll go to school or stay
Yes.
as an employee. So I decided to go to school to do my masters. Where I started, then that time I started my own organization. So that was where everything started. It was when I had to like start my masters, and at the same time my employer had to like tell me to leave work for school. So I started to school and do my own thing.
Amazing. I appreciate your openness, on this and all. So, Mr.
Mm.
Segun, now my next question to you is, now let's come to our main topic is like, how big is Africa? First of all, I want to know when it comes to agriculture.
Africa is actually very endowed. Where it's a continent that is actually endowed with a wide diversity of agro ecological zones. We're also blessed with biannual rainfall. If you look
Mhm.
at and the continent, we have more of agricultural zones than other continents of the world that are filled with desert and all of that. Our weather here is, we have deep rain forest here in Africa, and Africa
Yes.
is very big. Africa contributes to about 23% of the gross domestic product of the continent.
Wow.
The same agriculture actually, takes care of over 60% of rural engagement in the continent. Rural smallholder farmers actually contribute to almost more than 50%. So it's quite large in Africa. Agriculture is big for us, and we're also blessed. Like I've said, we are blessed. Beyond that, a very big one for us. The good thing is that we're also blessed with natural occurrences that actually supports agriculture, like the rainforest, the dual annual rain that we always have, and vast land that is actually rich to that supports agriculture.
Right. Oh, wow, amazing, and that's great to know. And,
Thank
like
you very
most
much.
of the viewers, if they are not aware, they come to know about this as well. Even I was not aware about it. So, Mr. Segun, now my next question to you is like, what is the difference between, like, say, there is one traditional method of doing farming that I also know sometimes.
Mhm.
So, but now people say that, there is modern method of farming. So, I just want to know a difference between traditional method and modern method of farming, what it is actually.
The traditional method of farming basically is the subsistence farming, the subsistence
Yes.
agriculture, where we all go to, get portions of land, and we have to,
Yes.
move the soil, plant the crops, and all of that. But the
Yeah.
beautiful thing about agriculture is that agriculture now takes a new look. Now there is this new approach which is called vertical farming. You could actually have a controlled space where you could engage in hydroponics or aquaponics, and you can actually rather than planting under the soil, we can now plant in controlled environments using solvent rather than soil. So it's a good one. And also, I think agriculture now is a business of the big men. Like I used to tell people, it's a big business. It's a very big
Yeah.
sector, just like the banking or any other sector. Now there's
Yeah.
mechanization. So agriculture is now practiced in a big way everywhere in the world, rather than just the old way to agriculture in Africa is a father and a mother with multiple children have a farm, daddy, mommy, and 5 children or 10 children. In Africa, the way they take farming before now is when how many children you have, but now
Right.
it's not
Okay.
that way anymore. Now there's no approach to mechanization. You don't have to actually engage human labor in agriculture anymore. So there's really big turn to agriculture now. The introduction of mechanization, the introduction of the information technology. Now you can study your farmland even at the corner of your house. There's this GIS geoinformation system where you can study the yield, the pest effects, the yield of your crops, how they are doing, and whatever type of rodent that is actually trying to encroach into your land. So the evolution of technology, the introduction of mechanization, all of these things, and also, like I said, vertical farming. These have actually made agriculture, a very beautiful sector.
Yes. Oh, amazing. And agriculture is backbone for every country.
Every country.
Most important part of any economy. Yes, it's the base. But you have also seen, like, I have seen, like, I don't know, like in Africa continent right now, but I won't take any name, but agriculture farmers don't get the support what they actually deserve from government. you know like, yes, sometimes government, during elections they just waive off their loans. Okay, take it. But in actually they need some support so that they can do, because for example, the cost that is coming to a farmer, and what he's selling and what a consumer is getting, it's huge margins. So government, I really don't have any idea about Africa, but what I can tell you is about my experience. The government takes a lot of, in between that, taxes and all those things. So I feel like that's not good, you know,
Yes, I
because a
actually agree with you. I totally
yeah,
agree with you. I think just like every other sector, the information technology, the banking, the manufacturing, every other sector, the insurance, real estate, just as much as all these sectors actually attract investment from private investors and attention from the government,
yeah,
agriculture should be taken more serious because
yes,
we're talking about the SDGs and we're talking about food security. The the
yeah,
the the scourge came. The pandemic came. After pandemic, we still had the Russia Ukraine
Ukraine,
war.
yes,
So quite the climate change is really here now. So a lot of this a scourge has actually affected a lot of things in agriculture. So I think that the government needs to do more. Government needs to do more in terms of infrastructure. That's access to the farm settlements in terms of, especially in Africa. Narrowing it
yeah,
to Africa, we need to do more of infrastructure, farm settlements. We have to look into security because nobody wants to work in an unsecure environment. We need to look at security of this because most agricultural zones are rural zones. So we need to put more concentration in this place. And also we need to look at our value addition. Agriculture in Africa is big, but if you look at uh, the value addition to this particular sector is quite low. And what comes as returns. I mean, the margin, just like you said, in between the primary production of crops and value
yeah,
addition is wide. It's
is
very
right.
wide. So
Yep.
to retain the wealth that is in agriculture in Africa, I think we need to look at how we can actually add value. And in all of this, agriculture has actually, like I said, is a business of the big people. It's a business of a big men. So because it's a long-term business, not a business you start today and start making money like immediately. So we need private investors to start looking into how we can, while making profits, socially also impacting the people, trying to contribute to solving the problem, the global food insecurity. We need to start looking at that. Also, the government needs to start looking at climate change, start looking at
Yeah.
infrastructures, start looking at security, start looking at, grant and support, loans, and actually ensure that they have the right network to channel it to the right positions so they can get to the grassroots.
Yes. Oh, amazing. Amazing insight that you have mentioned over here. So, Mr. Segun, now my question is, like, there is a concept called sustainable farming. It's a lot of concept going on in the market. So I just want to ask you, like, what is sustainable farming and why it is important today and what are the benefits of it?
Well, sustainable farming is basically ensuring that we produce the food, the textile we need without actually affecting the future. Ensuring that we're able to sustain ourselves today, not affecting what actually comes after. Ensuring that climate change is not actually affecting our production? How do we ensure that we're able to actually farm enough for ourselves without actually even depleting the ozone layer or depleting the soil? These are things we look at. Just like I've mentioned also earlier, the vertical farming now is, rather than cutting the grasses, deforestation, you know,
Yeah.
rather than doing deforestation, why not look at vertical farming? Do you understand? Rather than
Yes. Yes.
attacking the aquatic life, why not just have your like a fish pond, or as the case may be, rather than attack, trying to hunt down the fishes in the water and all of those things. So basically, the simple meaning for sustainable farming is ensuring that we take care of the present without depleting whatever opportunity we are supposed to get in the future. Just like I've said, looking at our food production, our textile, ensuring that we don't cut down the trees that are needed in the bush for, some of these trees are actually, they are very important. They're very useful. They use trees to produce papers and all of those things. So by the time we start cutting all of these things down, and so what happens? What happens is that we now expose our soil to direct sunlight. Erosion comes and it
Yeah.
flushes all of these topsoils away. When we farm continuously in a particular area without leaving that area for future engagement, what happens? The soil loses its nutrients. you
Yeah.
know so, yeah,
Correct.
so if we continuously plant a particular type of crop, what happens? There's what they call cover crops.
Hmm.
So when
Hmm.
we continue to plant, for example, cereals or legumes, and you don't look into cover crops actually a bit, covers the land and shade it away from direct sunlight, so that it can retain its nutrient. So by the time,
Okay.
mixed cropping is very important. Let me just put it that way. So you know how to actually
Mixed crop.
introduce, yes, mixed cropping. So you know how to introduce your cover crops, when to plant your, agroforestry is also important. The plantation of your cash crops, the perennial crops, the cocoa, the
Yeah.
cotton, cashew, and all of those things. So that's basically, and just like I've mentioned, being able to also farm without going into the bush, that's sustainable farming. you know,
Yes.
Considering how to retain this nutrient of your soil in years to come, you know, not attacking the aquatic life. So that's basically what they
Yeah.
call sustainable farming in simple sentence.
Amazing. Amazing. Such great insights that you have given, great ideas and all. So, Mr. Segun, now I just want you to tell a little bit more about your company, which is Bay Agro. Like, what is all about, and where do you see yourself with Bay Agro after 5 years?
Thank you very much. The agro after 5 years, in short, want to be a very huge gap between the rural smallholder farmers and the urban agro processors. We want to actually, reduce the level of lack of access to markets that our rural farmers are actually facing. A lot of smallholder farmers actually, do quite numbers of primary production, and they actually face post-harvest losses because they lack access to easy access to market.
Yeah.
So what we try to do is we stand in as an aggregator to ensure that we offtake all of these crops from them, and we are able to like liaise with agro processors in urban centers that actually requires these raw products, and we're able to supply
Okay.
them. We're trying to bridge the gap between the rural smallholder farmers and the agro processors. That's number one. Number two is also to be at the forefront of cashew production. Cashew markets in Africa is big. Narrowing down to Nigeria, today I think we produce over 200 million metric tons, and I think
Wow.
it's yes, in Nigeria alone, and Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana are doing more than that. So I think Nigeria has set a target to actually by 2025 to reach a 500 million metric tons production. So we want to be a part of this goal. And what we have actually done in light of this is we have actually empowered our smallholder farmers. We've empowered over 546 smallholder farmers across 3 states in Nigeria with cashew
Amazing.
seedlings. how we do this is we partner with Cocoa Research Institute of Nigeria. They have the mandate for most of these cash crops. We've partnered with them, and we have actually made viable seedlings available for our farmers. And we've actually even have understanding with them that at the point of yield, when it starts fruiting, we'll be ready to also take from them. So they don't. So what they are planting, they are confident they are viable seedlings, and they are sure that the market is ready for them. They're sure the market is
Amazing.
for them. Also we have also supported females in agriculture. So we have a smart aggregation outlet across agro producing clusters, and we've actually empowered women to be our agents in this outlet. So we've actually supported women in agriculture. We've actually supported women in this the agro value chain. So those are basically what we do. And in the future, like you also said, in 5 years to come, we want to be one of the biggest agro aggregators in Nigeria, just like the big aggregators everywhere in the world.
Yeah. Oh, you will be. And I wish, Bay Agro all the best, because they have such a
Thank
great
you.
leaders like you who is
Thank
running the
you.
company. So, of course, the company will make huge. There's no
Thank
doubt
you.
about it. Yes. So, Mr. Segun, now my question to you is like, what do you want to appeal to the investors now, who are from North America, Europe, Dubai, and even, India? Like, how big is Africa market today when it comes to investment?
Well, I will narrow it down to what the problem of the world is today.
Yeah.
We all in the world, be it Africa, North America, Asia, or any continent of the world, can't do without
Yes.
food. We can't live without food. And
Of course.
today, food crisis is a big problem we're trying to solve. The population of the world is in billions, and today, according to the FAO, over 20% of the people in the world are hungry. So
Yes.
we all beyond, as we are businessmen and we're trying to look at profit, which is very important for all private investors, because we're all in the business for the profit. We need to start looking at the social impact of food insecurity, not only
Yeah.
in Africa, throughout the world. That's the first thing.
Throughout the.
Let's see it as
Yes.
our collective responsibility to invest in agriculture, because that's the way to go. That's the way to feed the whole world. That's number one. So after this, number two thing is I want to actually plead with private investors to be very patient with agro farmers or agribusiness personnel or agencies or companies, because it's a long-term game. It's a long-term business. It might not probably be like the fintechs where you could easily under 6 months have 10x, or say for example in 2 years have 20x. However, it's a business that is rich and very rich, and you can be confident that it's going to bring your returns. So I would just say that private investors should be more patient with agribusiness entrepreneurs, and see how we can actually come together to play the long term game rather than the short term game. And another thing I will say also is to be a part of the campaign, not just to invest, in the business, but to be a part of the process. Because, like I've just said, it's a global problem. Climate
Yes.
change is affecting agriculture. Pandemic has affected us already. The
Yeah.
war is already, is really, ravaging the lands as well. Has done a lot of
Yes.
damage, than good. So we all need to see it as a collective responsibility to invest in agriculture. So I would just plead to be patient and see as a collective responsibility by everybody in the world to save everyone from this hunger. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. And this podcast is so insightful that I don't want to end. I want you to be here today and we'll discuss 3 4 hours, lot of things, because I'm just loving this topic. And you have such great insight to share with me, with my audience, and everybody. You are an inspiration, man, no doubt. But yes, I know you are a busy person, so I have to end this podcast, but with the final question that I ask in every episode. So, Mr. Segun, what advice do you want to give a youngster who is between 18 to 25, watching this episode, because this is a age that either can make you or break you. What advice do you give?
Start now. That's my advice. Okay,
Start
so
now.
yes, start now. And there's never a best time. Yesterday was not a best time. Today is not a best time. Tomorrow is never going to be a best time. But just start now, because today, yesterday, tomorrow, the time you have to yourself is now. Beat yesterday,
Right.
today, tomorrow. The time you have yourself to yourself is now. And every sector requires money to start. So don't allow money to be an impediment to starting. I don't
Right.
allow money, because definitely I'm not going to start as $1 billion investment. Start with the $1, the $2 that you have. Start with the minimum that land mass you have, or and you don't have to basically go to the farm. Just like we've been able to explain today, there are quite enormous value chain that you can tap into. It can be an aggregator, it can be in logistics, it can be in packaging, it can be in any value chain of this agribusiness. So the point is, you need to start now and don't allow money to be an impediment to starting. There's no right time to start. Today is that tomorrow's that we're thinking yesterday.
Yeah.
Tomorrow will still be that tomorrow we are thinking today. So start now. There's no one best time. Start now and don't allow money to stop you.
Amazing. Amazing insight that you have given. So thank you so much, Mr. Segun, for coming on this episode. It's my pleasure, and it's my privilege to have you on this. And to all my viewers, I see you guys next week with another episode. The season one is coming, ending soon. So be there. Thank you soon, Mr. Segun, for
Thank
being
you
here.
very much, Mr. Sanya, for having me. It's a privilege to be on your podcast. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you so much.